I'm Lewis Allen, UK session guitarist, just in the studio today with these three THR amplifier models. So on stage I'd use two valve heads and two cabs, and I'd run them clean and sort of affect the sound with pedals and stuff primarily, so get a really nice clean sound that you're happy with. And then I'd use maybe like a bluesy overdrive pedal, more of a high gain pedal, and just like a push overdrive, just so I get different gain stages of the amp. And then I'd use some modulation effects. I really like Strymon and stuff for that. So it's quite a lot of stuff going on the board, and I've also got my tech would be operating a lot of stuff off to the side of stage. So it's got a comprehensive setup. So what I'm going to do with the THR 10 is I'm going to set it up as I would my valve heads, so get a really nice basic clean sound. It's got a really deep, rich, clean sound there, which, I mean, in the room, you wouldn't, if you didn't know that amp was there, you probably wouldn't tell that it was that big. So the second setting I've just programmed in is like an AC30 kind of sound, because it's quite fun to play with. So the next sound that I'm going to play through is like it's meant to be kind of like a modded JMP 100 head, so like an old Marshall kind of thing, and I'd probably use that setting as like a kind of Hendrixy sort of thing. So I've just put a bit of tremolo on it to give you that kind of effect, but yeah, it sounds a bit like this. So we just changed amp models now, and I'm playing through the 10C, and this is all your boutique-y, hand-wired kind of valve combos. So the sound I'm playing for at the moment is based on a Marshall Blues Breaker, and it's just a straight-up kind of bluesy sound, so it sounds like this. The thing about these units is they're actually quite specialist. They've got some quite specialist sounds on there. And the amp setting I've got it on now is actually meant to be a Dr. Z, so sort of small wattage Dr. Z, so it'll get really kind of crazy and, you know, sound really all big boxy and mad, but it's actually a really enjoyable sound, and it's really cool to play with. So it sounds like this. So what I've tried to do with this setting here, I've just got it on actually called Class A, but it's based on a kind of DC30 matchless. Is that kind of really strong John Mayer clean sound that I'm sure we're all familiar with. So this is kind of my attempt at getting that sort of sound. So I'm using the THR 10X now, which has got a selection of quite unusual high gain amps. So the sound that I've got up here is sort of trying to recreate the high gain rhythm sound that I'd use live for various stuff, you know, sort of lead and rhythm, but sort of mainly just for sort of beefing up tracks, really. So yeah, it sounds a bit like this. So I swapped guitars now, just to show you kind of how the amp reacts with different types of guitars. Same sound on the amp, just literally different guitar. So we're sticking with the same amp model here, which is Brown One, which is identical to that late 70s, early 80s All-American rock sound, which I'm sure we're all familiar with. I've changed a little bit of the EQ, put a bit more bottom in and a slight bit more delay in, it's probably what I'd do with the lead sound anyway. Yeah, and it sounds something like this. So I've just changed to a different amp modelling setting, and we're on the Southern High now, which is actually modelled on a ridiculously high gain Southern American amp. The thing is with all these amp settings as well is you haven't got to use it for, you know, it hasn't got to be all, you know, completely thrash. You can wind the gain back and adjust the EQ and get some really interesting sounds out of it. So for me, I thought this sound was quite similar to a very famous 80s session musician. So I've added a bit of chorus and a bit of delay, and yeah, it sounds pretty similar, I think. So hopefully that's given you a good idea of the versatility of these Yamaha THR amps. I mean, I'd have any one of them really for any scenario. I mean, whether it be kind of warming up the artist in the dressing room before, or, you know, the main use I use them is in the studio for writing. If we've got an artist in there we're writing with, you know, that's perfect for getting a vibe in the room and getting a sound up together. I mean, not to mention you can plug your iPod and stuff into it. And to be honest, for the price of an effects pedal, you've got all that versatility. You can't go wrong really.